I think we've got Jennifer back as well from Mums United, a volunteer and a mother of two, to come and speak to us about this protest that is being organised for next weekend. Good evening, Jennifer.
Evening, Nas. Thanks for having me on today.
It's an absolute pleasure to have you on, Jennifer. Jennifer, please, could you give us a little bit more insight into the necessity for having such a protest?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, where to start? But just briefly, from the beginning of this year in our city, there's been, 15 shootings now? I think we're all starting to lose count. And numerous assaults, other gang-related crime, as well as knife crime. Now, I think that you must have been living under a rock if you live in Sheffield and you've not heard of gang-related violence in our city, or been shocked at the ages of the people when they are identified, arrested, or allegations made. So much more often than not is people 20 or 19 or younger. Some really shockingly young people have been involved in awful crimes in our city. Certainly over the last couple of years, this is an escalating problem. And we are getting to the point in Sheffield where no matter which area you live in, but some areas more than others, you're actually at risk of getting caught in crossfire between gangs or fights between gangs just if you go to your local shop and buy a pint of milk, or if you send your child out for a treat, get some pop and crisps. You don't know if they're going to be injured or identified as a gang member and attacked. It's really, really scary being a parent in Sheffield, whether it's sons or daughters, but especially if you're a parent of sons right now. For goodness sake, enough is enough, and that's what we're saying.
Jennifer, I've just seen that Mums United are calling for this on the poster. Just for those listeners that are not aware of the work that Mums United are doing at this moment in time, you have been on countless occasions before on this platform, but those that are just tuning in, what is Mums United all about?
Well, we know that there's been lots of cuts to services, and I don't mind sharing my age. I'm 40, but I remember with my first child nearly 20 years ago, that there was a lot of youth clubs and youth services, after-school clubs and things like that. Most schools have youth clubs and after-school clubs attached to them, safe spaces and places run by fully trained DBS-checked adults who can do fun activities with them outside of school. But so much has been cut and taken away that there's really no places to go in a lot of areas for our kids than out on the street. And it's when kids are out on the streets that they're then getting targeted and groomed by criminal gangs to be drug runners and so on. So what Mums United Sheffield initially started doing just over 2 years ago now was to provide a safe space with trained volunteers, youth mentors, all kinds of different things like that, to do various activities. Prior to the pandemic, there was activities that are very similar to what you would have seen in an after-school club in the olden days, but also street sports, and there's been work with Sheffield Wednesday, soccer coaching, there's been self-defense, judo, street archery, as well as other kinds of fun and games. But during the lockdown, obviously we've had to move things online and kind of be a bit more creative about the things that we're doing. We've engaging our youth. And we've had children from age like 4 all the way up to 15, 16-year-olds throughout the pandemic, joining in a variety of sessions that Mums United Sheffield have been putting on. So there's been healthy eating and exercise, poetry writing, creative writing, classes aimed at older children as well, those that have been doing their GCSEs and mock GCSEs in these last couple of years. As well as we did a stop motion animation workshop as well. That was something that I helped out with, and that was so much fun. I mean, imagine having, like between 20 and 30 kids, the ages are between 4 and 15, but they're all taking part in the same club. Just absolutely brilliant. And you know what? There are some incredible kids in Sheffield. There really are. They've got a lot to give and a lot to teach the rest of us. And it's so important that they're kept safe. That they're nurtured, and that's what we're doing.
Well, no, that's brilliant, Jennifer, and commendable for the work that you're doing at the moment, and Mums United are. Who are you protesting against with regards to this this protest you've organised for this coming Saturday?
On the one hand, the obvious answer is the evil criminals, quite frankly, the evil criminals, and these are adult people we're talking about, evil manipulative people who think that they can use our young people to do their dirty work for them. On the other hand, we also do need to point out where authorities are letting our young people down. We're talking about social services, MAST, schools, police, councillors, MPs, everybody who holds a position of authority, whether it's as a paid job or an elected position. I've been letting the children down because we see when there's children who get fixed term or full school exclusions, it's like they're then just left adrift. There's not the link between various support organisations that there should be. And in our local area in Arbthorne, just was about 3 weeks ago now, a child who isn't in a school at the moment pulled a knife on another child.
Ooh.
So why weren't social services or MAST or anyone else keeping an eye on what this kid was doing while he was in an exclusion from school? You see, so we've got problems like that all over the city.
What support mechanisms are in place then? You've talked about a various number of shootings and knife incidents in Sheffield this year. What kind of support mechanisms are in place with Mums United that support those parents, and how do you support families that have lost a loved one due to knife crime or gun crime?
It's very difficult. I think, Naz, to be perfectly honest with you, when Mums United Sheffield first started, it was because these crimes were happening, and we wanted to ensure that we're the phrase "prevention is better than cure." We wanted to try and make sure that we're preventing the opportunity and taking away opportunity for these criminals to be able to groom children into being drug runners and so on. But as the time's gone on, as you know yourself, there's this escalation of violence in our city, and of course, this means that some of our members are personally affected. One way or the other with regards to what's been going on. So there have been sessions for parents as well as sessions for kids. So there's been sessions that are mixed sessions, mums and dads all welcome, and other family members, of course, grandparents and so on. But there have been, during this lockdown especially, weekly online sessions called Power in Me, which are just for mums. And they've been absolutely invaluable. And I can't tell you how strong the bond is between all of us. And some of us have only met on the Zoom. Some of us have never met in real life, you know. But
so it's a really tricky time at this moment in time, isn't it? It's a really tricky time at this moment in time. So just we're going into our traffic and travel in a very short while. Is there any final words you've got for the community out there? And also in regards to the date and time for your protest that you've organised?
Yeah, sure. It's starting at 3 p.m. on the 22nd of May, which is a Saturday, at Healy People's Park on Parkview Road. Everybody is welcome. If you're against the escalation of violence, or even if you just want to know a bit more about Mums United and what's going on, come, join in, speak to us. Everybody is welcome. And that's the one thing all of us have in common. And everybody might not agree with what are the exact ways to deal with this in the long run. And that's something that all of us can get together and talk about. But for the moment, we need to make it clear to these criminals and to people in authority positions that enough is enough, and our children deserve a future. How we act today affects their tomorrow. So let's act, no matter where you're from in this city. The reason we're doing this route from Healy over into Shara is because we're crossing gang territory by doing this route. We're crossing between two big postcodes that have a lot of beef with each other. We're saying, look, we will go where we want, we'll walk where we want, and we'll do so with our heads held high. So will our kids. They will not have our sons and they will not have our daughters. Enough is enough.
Jennifer Dunstan, thank you for joining us this Sunday evening, and best of luck for the protest that you've organised as well, and hope everything goes well.
Thank you. God bless.
Thank you. And that's Jennifer Dunstan there of Mums United talking to us about their upcoming protest as well. Next then, True Blue by Madonna.